Hi friends, happy Wednesday. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Susie Leachy. I'm a certified health coach specializing in women's reproductive health and fertility, and I help women naturally balance their hormones through nutrition and lifestyle. So today I want to talk about a very important topic, not only for hormone balance, but also for overall health, although the two definitely go hand in hand, and that is sleep. It's so important to get good quality sleep in order for your body to function optimally, and especially when it comes to hormone health, it's really important, and unfortunately it can be a vicious cycle. So if your hormones are out of balance, then it can be harder to sleep, and then when you don't get good quality sleep, your hormones are even more out of balance. So it can be a really difficult issue to manage, but I'm going to try to give you some tips today to help you improve your sleep so that you can improve your overall health and your hormone balance. Now, just so you know, sleep is something that does not come easily for me personally. I'm a very light sleeper and I tend to have difficulty falling asleep and staying asleep, especially when I'm stressed. So it's something that I'm constantly working on because I know it's so important for health, and I know that I feel a million times better when I do get a good night's sleep and I'm well rested, and I'm sure you do too. In fact, when I was working very heavily on my own hormone balance when I was trying to get pregnant, and I was working with a fertility coach, she worked with me on many things, but one of the big things that we worked together on was sleep because, like I said, I'm not the greatest sleeper, so that was one of the things that I had to improve in order to get my hormones on track and regain my fertility so that I could get pregnant. So because this is such an important topic, and because it's something that I've struggled with and it's often a challenge for me, I have a lot of experience with it, so I have a lot of tips for you that I would love to share today. I'm going to tell you a total of 12 tips, so definitely listen carefully, take notes if you need to, and try some or all of them out for yourself. As I go through, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know and I will get back to you. Or if you catch the replay and have questions, then just send a comment, send me a message, whatever you'd like to do, and I will get back to you with a response. All right, so let's get started. Tip number 1, reduce or eliminate caffeine consumption. Now, I know a lot of us feel like we need that cup of coffee or tea either first thing in the morning or to get through that afternoon lull that tends to happen around 2 or 3 p.m., or maybe both those times. And some caffeine can be okay, but it depends on your sensitivity to it, and also a number of other factors. So it's just something to be mindful of. And if you're having trouble sleeping well at night, try consuming just 1 cup of coffee or tea in the morning, or try cutting it out completely. I know for me, times when I've been really stressed, I've had to cut caffeine completely in order to get decent sleep. Otherwise, I would get that wired and tired feeling, which I know some of us are unfortunately familiar with. So you may need to cut it out altogether, or you may just need to cut back or just consume your coffee or tea only in the morning. Okay, tip number 2 is to get some sunshine or at least bright light early in the day, and get in some exercise earlier in the day if you can as well. So getting that bright light and a little bit of movement or exercise can really help your circadian rhythm and help you get a better night's sleep later on. But it is important to note you should avoid exercise too close to bedtime, so get it in the morning if possible, because intense exercise before bedtime can disrupt your sleep. So it'll spike your cortisol levels late in the day, which you don't really want to be doing. You want cortisol to be lower in the evening so that you don't, so cortisol is a stress hormone, so you don't want stress hormones later in the day when you're trying to go to sleep and relax. But earlier in the day, if you get some bright light and you get that movement in, then that can kind of get your body in a good rhythm so that it's easier to fall asleep at night. Okay, number 3, try supplementing with magnesium. So I take a lot of magnesium personally, and I take it in a number of different forms, and not just to help with sleep, to help with a couple other things as well. For instance, I get migraine headaches, which I've spoke about before, so that's one thing that helps me. But most Americans are deficient in magnesium, and most people who are having trouble sleeping could use some additional magnesium supplementation. So I will show you what I take personally, and you don't necessarily have to take all of these, but maybe something to think about or look into. So the first one I take is, sorry if it's backwards, but Smart Mag. I get all this stuff on Amazon, by the way. Okay, so this is a combination of magnesium threonate, which, by the way, is the only type of magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier. So if you're using magnesium also for any type of brain or neurological symptoms like anxiety or headaches, that's a great one, magnesium threonate. It also has magnesium taurate and magnesium glycinate. So it's a really nice combination of different forms of magnesium. So this one I take, so the serving size is 3 capsules. So I take 1 in the morning and then 2 at night around an hour before I go to bed. All right, so that's one form. And then before I go to bed, I also use this. It's called Natural Calm. Now this is magnesium citrate, so it's a different form. And this is a powder that you just put into some water. I like putting in hot water. It's almost like a tea. I get the original unflavored one, but it still has a little hint of a flavor. Nothing too strong. But it also comes in raspberry lemon and maybe a couple other flavors. But again, you can get it on Amazon. So you just put, I like to put 2 teaspoons in some hot water before I go to bed. Drink that. But you could also do, if you like having just a little bit of a hot beverage before bed, you could also do one of those bedtime teas or chamomile tea. But this is a good one if you want to get in some extra magnesium. It definitely helps relax me and helps me fall asleep. Now, if I'm traveling somewhere and I know that I'm not going to have hot water or something to mix this in readily available, I also have, it's the same thing, but it's in gummy form. So these are Natural Calm gummies. This one is raspberry lemon flavor, by the way. So if I'm traveling, then I'll just use a couple of these. Usually I would take 2 to 4 before I go to bed. So, I mean, this is a lot more economical, to be honest. So I use this and I drink it as a tea, like I said, plus it has a little extra added sugar because it's a gummy, but in a pinch, it's great because then you can actually go to sleep if you're traveling somewhere more easily. Okay, and then the last form of magnesium that I use is a magnesium oil spray. So again, you can get this on Amazon. And this I'll use before I go to bed. I'll just rub some on my belly or on my legs, kind of some of those areas where you have more skin where you're able to absorb it a little bit better. But sometimes magnesium is better absorbed through the skin versus taking it orally. So just to kind of cover all my bases, I use this as well. You could also soak in an Epsom salt bath. That's another way to get magnesium through the skin. So those are the different types of magnesium that I use. You can, try them out if you feel like some magnesium would help with your sleep. One caveat is I would say avoid taking, other than magnesium and maybe a couple other supplements or medications, not going to get into all the details, but avoid taking most other supplements too close to bedtime. So for instance, if you have a multivitamin that you take, especially if it contains a pretty good dose of B vitamins, don't take that too close to bedtime because B vitamins can be energizing and that can actually interfere with your sleep and keep you up. Or in my case, and maybe others have experienced this as well, I actually get really bad nightmares if I take B vitamins or some other supplements too close to bedtime, or just really weird dreams that kind of bother me and I wake up because of them. So that's no fun. So avoid taking most other supplements too close to bedtime, but magnesium is a good one. All right, tip number 4, make sure your room is dark, cool, and quiet, except for maybe some white noise. So either quiet or some white noise can help with sleep. What I do, so I do have blackout curtains in my room and I try to keep everything else turned off, but to block out any excess light, I do sleep with an eye mask. Purple is my favorite color. And I like this, I've gone through so many because I wear them every night and they start to break after a while. But again, you can get them on Amazon. I like this one because it kind of bubbles out, so it doesn't bother your eyes as much. So I like this one, but yeah, any type of sleep mask will do, but this is my personal preference, that little bubble. And then just some, I mean, a lot of sleep masks will come with earplugs too, so you can just, use these little foam earplugs to help you sleep. So blocking out noise or using white noise can be really helpful. I know sometimes it's difficult if you have a little one like I do and you kind of have to be alert to hearing them, so I can't block out all the noise completely, but just making sure that your room is mostly quiet can be really helpful. Okay, tip number 5, reduce or eliminate blue light before bedtime. So turn off or dim the bright or fluorescent lights in your house when you're starting to wind down and relax in the evening, get ready for bed. You can also use I like to use a Himalayan salt lamp in my bedroom, so that's that nice kind of more reddish amber tone that kind of signals to your body that it's time to relax, it's not daytime. That's the bright blue light signal to your body that it's time to be alert and awake, which you don't want at night. You want that only during the day. If you have to be on your computer, you can use an application called Flux, that's F.lux, and that will actually, you can set it to a schedule basically to shift into the more amber toned backlights on your computer when the sun goes down. So that can be really helpful. And then also on your phone, you may have seen, I know it's on iPhone, I'm not sure about Androids or other devices, but there's night mode on the iPhone. So you can switch it to that night mode, and that'll again kind of dim the backlight and make it a little bit more of a reddish hue as opposed to that blue stimulating light. So it's better if you can avoid electronics before bedtime, but if you have to be on them, then at least making sure that they're not keeping you up with that blue light can be really helpful. And another way to block out the blue light is with some super cool blue light blocking glasses. Again, you can get these on Amazon. I think they're about $8, but the advantage of these is that you just look really cool and stylish. So see, now I'm blocking out all the blue light. It's great. So yeah, you can also wear these, especially maybe if you're watching TV and the TV is going to be bright and I don't know of a program or anything where you can do that, have the blue light blocked out and have the amber light on your TV. So you can wear these really cool glasses, again, only about $8 on Amazon. Okay, so put those away. Unfortunately, I need my glasses to see. So that is tip number 5. So tip number 6, read something interesting but not too engaging before bed. So I really like to read before bed personally, but you don't want to be reading a book that is so engaging that you can't put it down, because obviously then you're not going to go to sleep. Or something that is really creepy or scary or sad or anything that is going to evoke strong emotion or that you're going to be thinking about and then not able to sleep. You want to avoid that, but a book that's enjoyable but not too intense, that you can just read, relax, get your mind off things, and just your eyelids will start to get heavy after a while, and then it'll be easier to drift off to sleep. So that's something that I really like to do. So that is tip number 6. Okay, tip number 7. Try some deep breathing. So maybe you want to meditate before bed if you're into that, or you can try just some standard deep breathing. Or what I like to do is what's called 4-7-8 breathing. So you inhale for a count of 4, you hold it for a count of 7, and then you exhale for a count of 8. So 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale for 4, hold it for 7, exhale for 8. And that breathing pattern helps to calm your body. So I like to do that before bed, and sometimes if I wake up in the middle of the night, which I almost always do at least once, I kind of do that breathing to get back into a relaxed state. Especially if I wake up and my mind is kind of racing or I feel like I'm really awake, I do that, and that kind of just makes me more calm and makes it easier to fall back to sleep. Okay, tip number 8. Try having a bedtime snack. So you want to avoid a really heavy meal too close to bedtime, because then your body's busy digesting it and maybe you're a little uncomfortable and that can make it harder to fall asleep. But having a small snack consisting of fat and some carbohydrate can actually help relax you and keep you from feeling hungry during the night and keep your blood sugars stable throughout the night. So the way it works is after you eat dinner, say you eat a little bit on the early side, your blood sugar levels will obviously increase after you eat, but then they'll slowly start to decline. So if you have a snack with a little bit of carbohydrate in it, that's going to raise your blood sugar a bit. The fat will stabilize your blood sugar, so it's not going to then crash during the night. So it can elevate your blood sugar a little bit, but then the fat helps to stabilize it so that you don't experience blood sugar crashes during the night. So if you've ever woken up and felt a little bit amped up during the night, or you wake up and you're really alert and maybe you feel really hungry, that can be from low blood sugar because your body is basically increasing the stress response or cortisol because it wants you to go look for food. You know, low blood sugar is an emergency to your body. So if that happens to you during the night, having a small snack before bed of a little bit of fat, a little bit of carbohydrate, maybe a small piece of fruit and some nut butter or something like that can be really helpful with keeping blood sugar levels stable, and so you don't wake up hungry during the night. I would avoid a lot of protein though before bed because protein can be a bit energizing, kind of similar to the B vitamins, although probably won't give you nightmares. At least doesn't for me. Okay, so tip number 9, consume most of your water early on in the day and limit liquids at bedtime. So this is something that I am currently working on because I tend to get up during the night to have to use the bathroom. So if that's you, consume more of your water early in the day. It is very important to drink a lot of water, but if you can kind of get more of your water early on in the day and then kind of taper off as the night goes on and don't drink a ton before bed, then that can be really helpful as well, especially if you have the issue of needing to use the bathroom during the night. Okay, that brings us to tip number 10. Go to bed earlier and have a consistent bedtime and wake up time. So if you can get to bed by around 10 p.m., you will likely get more and better quality sleep. So because of the way the body works and your circadian rhythm, sleep before midnight actually tends to be deeper and more restorative. So even if you're going to bed late and then sleeping in, it's actually not the same for your body as going to bed early and then waking up, 8 hours later, say. And having a consistent bedtime, in addition to going to bed early, having a consistent bedtime and wake up time, not varying too much on the weekends, for instance, can also be really helpful and keep your circadian rhythm in a good place. All right, tip number 11, establish a relaxing and consistent bedtime routine. So just like when you were a kid, or if you have kids, you know that one of the top recommendations for improving sleep is always establishing a good bedtime routine. So it helps signal to your body that it's time for bed and it just gets the body prepared to get into a more relaxed state. So it can be something really simple, like first you put your pajamas on, then you brush your teeth, then you read for a few minutes, then you do some deep breathing, and then you're asleep. Something like that, but something consistent and that is relaxing and doable for you. Nothing crazy, but just that something that is routine that signals to your body, okay, now it's time to relax and go to sleep. All right, and finally, tip number 12, reduce stress. And that includes the stress of a hormone imbalance or a medical condition. Now, I won't go too deep into this one because it's such a big topic. I could just do a whole video on stress or multiple videos on stress and reducing stress. But if you have significant stressors in your life, you need to figure out a way to reduce or manage those because they can really interfere with your sleep, as I'm sure most or all of us have experienced before. Okay, so just to recap all 12 tips. The first tip was reduce or eliminate caffeine consumption. Tip number 2 was get some sunshine or at least some bright light earlier in the day and get some exercise in earlier in the day if you can as well. Tip number 3 is try supplementing with magnesium, and I showed you the different forms of magnesium that I take. Number 4 is make sure your room is dark, cool, and quiet, except for maybe some white noise, and use, if you have to, sleep mask and earplugs, or blue blocker glasses. Tip number 6 is read something interesting but not too engaging before bed. Tip number 7 was try some deep breathing. Tip number 8 is try having a bedtime snack. Tip number 9 is consume most of your water early on in the day and limit liquids at bedtime. Tip number 10, go to bed earlier and have a consistent bedtime and wake up time, even on the weekends. Tip number 11 is establish a relaxing and consistent bedtime routine. And finally, tip number 12 is to reduce stress. And just to let you all know, this is definitely a really important piece of the health and hormone balance and fertility puzzle, but it is just one piece. So just like nutrition, which I talked about last week, that's one piece of the puzzle. This is also just one piece of the puzzle. So when I work with clients, we look at all the different factors that impact their health and their hormones and their fertility in order to improve their cycles and hormone balance so that they can reach their goals. So whether their goal is just to feel better and alleviate symptoms that are really impacting their lives, or whether that goal is to get pregnant and go on to have a healthy pregnancy and postpartum experience, we look at all the different factors that impact their health and their hormones. And I know from personal experience that working with a coach and having someone who is knowledgeable and objective can really help you put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And if you have someone to be there to support you and hold you accountable for making the appropriate changes to your lifestyle, or even if it's just maintaining habits and maintaining the motivation to keep going and not lose the faith, a coach can be super helpful. I've had a really great experience working with multiple coaches in the past as well as currently. And so now it is my passion and mission to help other women who are struggling with their hormones and really nasty symptoms and who are trying so hard to get pregnant and who are struggling and need support during pregnancy as well. So if you or anyone you know could benefit from working with a coach like myself, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I do offer free consultations for those who are interested. So no pressure, no obligation. We can just chat for 30 minutes over the phone about what your health concerns are, what your goals are, and decide whether we want to work together. I've been there myself, so I totally get it. If you do want to learn more about my story, I do have a post about it on my blog. So you can see the types of things that I was dealing with, the hormonal imbalances and certain medical conditions and, struggling to get pregnant. So you can read all about that on my blog if you're interested. And I also explain how I was able to overcome them. And, all of that might give you a better idea of how I could help you or someone you know. So I'll post a link to that blog post in the comments. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, either in the comments or send me a message, and I'll be happy to get back to you. I also have a private Facebook group called Hormone Balancing, Fertility, and Beyond. So if you're interested in this type of content and you're not already a member, I invite you to join us there. It's a great group of women, and I share a lot of information about women's health in there, and I answer any questions you might have. So I will post a link to that group as well in the comments. I also have a free guide on my website with my top 5 tips for hormonal health. So it's a great way to get you started. I'll post a link to that as well, but it is on the homepage of my website. You just type in your name and email and you'll get access to that free guide. And lastly, if there is a topic or question you'd like me to cover in an upcoming post, please let me know. I'm currently doing videos every week on Wednesdays, although I will be taking next week off for the holidays. Potentially the week after too, depending on how much time I have, because I know the next week is New Year's. But other than that, I am doing videos every Wednesday. So let me know if there's a topic that you're interested in me covering. I'd be happy to do so, or a question. I am also posting all these videos on YouTube, so check it out there, subscribe, and it might be easier to share a link or show one of your friends who might benefit from this information on YouTube versus on these Facebook Lives. So just know they're all on YouTube under Susie Lychee. And that's all I have for you for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great rest of your week and a very happy and healthy holiday season.